Hi, I'm Sikana, and I'm currently a sophomore in university, and I'm a fashion designer and creative director in the making. There's a lot of misconceptions about the process, about, how designers make their art, that it's intuitive and it's just kind of a flow, which is true for some parts, but a lot of it is research so you can understand things like time, trends that affect the color scheme, the kind of styles that you would implement in your work. And for this, as you can see, it's a little bit disco, a little bit ravish, and that was exactly what I was going for. The play had a lot of different settings and a lot of different kind of themes that I was going for, and I wanted to stay true to that whole disco color theme. So for this piece, I took a lot of inspiration from David Bowie's kind of stage outfits, because the character is super gender fluid, super colorful, and kind of challenges the ideas of masculinity and femininity. And so that's what inspires both the colors of this, but also the styles can be worn by anyone. It's quite androgynous in my opinion. My sketching, my figurative sketching, I wouldn't say is the best, and that's kind of a challenge that goes into any kind of art. You start to compare yourself to other artists, and it's really hard to get demotivated. So one of the things that kind of was making me nervous was the fact that I wasn't really confident in my sketching, but I was way more confident in my ability to take on the role of creative director and kind of blend concepts together. So things like vision boards, things like making lists, making concept kind of breakdowns, and that was my strength. So for this production as well, I heavily relied on mostly conceptual kind of things, and then with my sketches, it was really just to have a foundation. I'm not attached to my sketches. They really are just a skeleton for the things that I can work with in my hands. I would much rather have an idea of it and then just get the fabric and start working with it, which can be a problem because sometimes the fabric is really expensive. Because I love kind of figuring out how different elements work together to achieve a certain look or a certain message. And it's really fun because as a creative director, you have to think not only about the clothes that go into it, but you have to think about all the props that you use for it, who is going to be represented in that art, the models, or are you going to even use human form, thinking about the setting. So it's more realizing the larger thing than creating all the time, and I think that's okay. I think that some people are better about imagining what needs to be produced, and other people are really good about making those crafts, and I enjoy both. I think that in order to be a director, you have to do each of those things. Iron it down. It's not the best part of costume design, but it's necessary. When you're working in a room full of people who are just as passionate, as determined as you about the art form, you get to have a lot of people bounce back on your ideas to reinforce them, but also to challenge them and really, they criticize it, but they criticize it with care so that you can grow. And a good thing about that is also having a great supervisor. I have a great supervisor. She's patient, because as a learning artist, you're bound to make a lot of mistakes. Especially, this was my first costume designing. Costume designing is completely different from conceptual art because it has to be functional. It has to look exactly as you imagine it to be. So I had to develop my technical skills a little bit, which was hard. But having people to support you and you can ask them for help, lovely. I love that. That's my favorite part. The only reason that I do so, like I'm really passionate is because I take in a lot of art regardless of the medium. I listen to a lot of music in a versatile manner. I try to involve myself in dance and art and that culture. And so I would say that my artistic philosophy is to observe. As an artist, I don't believe in the isolation of ideas. You can never really be original. You cannot generate self-made ideas. You have to find out what drives you, what is interesting about other people who think differently from you. Because if you seclude yourself from that, you start to regurgitate the same type of art all the time, and you never really have a source of inspiration. So I think one thing that all artists have and just need to have is a curious mind. You have to be always attentive for any source of inspiration that can drive you further.